Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about The Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. We are about to divide this four-part author, summary, analysis, and conclusion. Next page. First of all, we would like to talk about the author. Next page. Joseph Conrad was born on December 3rd, 1857 in the Polish Ukraine. At that time, Poland was ruled by Russian. Conrad's father and mother were the Polish patriots. His father, Apollo, was suspicious to rebel on the Russian government, and then finally was exiled to Northern Asia. Conrad's mother died because the harsh of weather there worsened her health condition after his mother's death. Conrad was sent to his mother's brother by Apollo to receive further education. When Conrad was 17, he traveled to Marseilles, France, and became a sailor. Next page. In 1878, Conrad signed on to an English ship and started to learn English with the sailors on his ships. After a few years, in 1886, he became a British citizen. Conrad was fascinated by the sea since he was young and always wanted to explore the Congo area in Africa. The famous work written by Conrad, The Heart of Darkness, was inspired by his experience in Congo. Next page. And his writing style is Conrad's works are highly related to his personal experience. For example, he will write about his life when he was in Poland or the experience when he joined the French and British merchants, naives, colonialism, and imperialism are important to topics in Conrad's works. We can see he also tried to explore the human psyche throughout his creation. He inherited a sense of patriotism from his parents, and he never lost it during his whole life. However, his early experiences in exile and the loss of family make him lonely. This loneliness and the need for community turned out to be the major application of Conrad's life. These elements are reflected in his career, his life as an author, and his job of seafares. Next page. And let's talk about the summary. Charles Mello, the narrator as well as the main character, tells his story to three men aboard Nelly, a British ship anchored on the River Thames, of how he became captain of a river steamboat for the Ivory Trading Company. As a child, Marlowe was fascinated by the blank space on maps, particularly African. The image of the river on map particularly fascinated by Marlowe. Next page. In the flashback, Marlowe makes his way to Africa, taking his journey on steamer. He departs 30 miles off the river where his company station is. Labor work on the railway is carrying on. Marlowe explores a narrow valleys, and he is horrored by to find himself in a place full of deceased Africans who work on the railroad and are now dying. Next page. Thereafter, Marlowe must away for 10 days in the company's devastated outer station. Marlowe meets the company's chief accountant, who tells him of Mr. Kurtz, who is in charge of very important trading position, and that he is widely respected first-class agent. The accountant predicts that Kurtz will go far. Next page. Afterward, Marlowe departs with 60 men to travel to the central station. At the station, he learns that his steamboat has been wrecked in an accident. The general manager informs Marlowe that he would not wait for Marlowe to arrive and tells him of a rumor that Kurtz is ill. Marlowe fishes his boat out of the river and spends months repairing it. Delayed by lack of tools and replacement parts, Marlowe is frustrated by the time it takes to perform the repair. He learns that Kurtz is despised, not admired by the manager. Once on the way, the journey to Kurtz station takes 2 months. Next page. The journey passes for the night about 8 miles below the inner station. In the morning, the boat encounters a thick fog. The steamboat is later attacked by the shower of arrows, and the helmsman is killed. Marlowe then sounds the steam whistle repeatedly, frightening in the attacked waves. Next page. After landing Kurtz station, a man boarded the steamboat, a Russian wanderer who stayed in Kurtz map. Marlowe learns that the natives worship Kurtz and that he has been very ill. The Russian tells of how Kurtz spent his mind and seems to admire Kurtz, but Marlowe suggests that Kurtz has gone mad. Next page. Marlowe observes the station and sees a row of sticks topped with the heads of natives around the corner of the house. The manager appears with the pilgrims, bearing a thin wig and a ghost-like Kurtz. The sea fills with natives ready for battle, but Kurtz shouts something for the strangers and natives retreat. The pilgrim carries Kurtz to steamer and land him in one of the cabins. The manager tells Marlowe that Kurtz has harmed the company's business in the region, that his methods are unsound. The Russian revealed that Kurtz believes the company wants to kill him, and Marlowe confirms that hangings were discussed. Next page. After midnight, Marlowe discovered that Kurtz has returned to shore. He found Kurtz crawling back to the station house. Marlowe threatens to harm Kurtz if he raises an alarm, but Kurtz only laments that he had not accomplished more. The next day, they prepared to journey back down the river. Next page. Kurtz's health worsened during the shift, and Marlowe becomes increasingly ill. The steamboat breaks down, and while stopped for repair, Kurtz gives Marlowe a packet of papers, including his commissioned report and a photograph, tells him to keep them away from the manager. When Marlowe wants to speak with him, Kurtz is going to die. Marlowe hears him weakly whisper, the honor. A short while later, the manager's boy announces to the rest of the crew that Kurtz has died. The next day, Marlowe has paid little attention to the pilgrims as they burn something in Muddy Hold. He falls very ill, himself near death. Next page. Upon his return to Europe, Marlowe hates and looked down on the civilized world. Several callers come to take away two papers Kurtz entrusts to him, but Marlowe only offers papers that he knows that have no interest in. He gives Kurtz his report to a journalist for publications if he sees fit. Marlowe is left with something personal later and a photograph of Kurt's fiancée. When Marlowe visits her, she is deeply in mourning, although it has been more than a year since Kurt's death. She requests Marlowe for more information, asking to repeat Kurt's final words. Marlowe tells her that Kurt's final word was her name, but in fact, that isn't true. Next page.
Next is the analysis. The opening established a dark tone. Water is often a symbol of the unconscious, so the interminable waterway connecting civilized England to the rest of the world implies that England's civilization is just a veneer over the dark heart all men share. That the characters in the ship are known by their jobs and not their names hints at the hollowness of civilization. Their slaves have been swallowed by their roles. And because Heart of Darkness makes use of a framed narrative, there is a second narrator. The second narrator also speaks in the first person, and in his narrative, the reader sees Marlowe from an outside perspective. This narrator is skeptical of Marlowe, and he uses irony to indicate this. And the narrators thought about conquest and colonialism are conventional and romantic. That great men go out with great dreams and build great empires to the greater glory of the world. But Marlowe takes an opposite view, that he sees England itself as once one of the savage places, and imagines how that savagery wrecked its conquerors. The implication is that hidden behind its civilization, England has a heart dark. And Marlowe believes that a devotion to efficiency, to work, protects a man from being corrupt by powerlessness and hate. Next, the parties of conquest and colonialism are always ruthless, but noble ideas that inspire conquest, such as civilizing the barbarians, can be so beautiful that even the conquerors. Marlowe makes it clear he doesn't usually ask people for flavors. Instead, going by his only road on his own legs because of his belief in the honesty and the importance of work. He's not comfortable to relying on others to do his work for him, and sees it as a possibly dangerous and definitely shameful thing to do. The absurd story of Friseven's death foreshadows Marlowe's absurd experience in the jungle, where colonialist white men go insane and clash with the exploited natives, producing violence and more absurdity. And next, Heart of Darkness can be understood through its semi-autobiographical relationship to Conrad's real life. Heart of Darkness straddles the boundary between a waning Victorian sensibility and a waxing modernist one. One of the most resoundingly modernist elements of Conrad's works lies in this kind of early post-structuralist treatment of language. His insistence on the inherent inability of words to express the real in all of its horrific truth. Conrad was a thoroughgoing racist who dehumanized Africans in order to use them as a backdrop against which to explore the white man's territory. He condemns the evils of colonialism. He does little to dismantle the racism that undergirds such a system, instead positing the indigenous people of Africa as little more than part of the nature environment. Next, feminist discourse has offended similar critics. That Conrad has flattened his female characters similar to the way he's done so with his African ones. Women are displayed not as multi-dimensional beings, but as signifiers undistinguished from the field of other signifiers that make up the text. Conrad's inability to name things as an unseemly quality in a writer was supposed to be one of the greats. Perhaps this is itself a testament to the Heart of Darkness' breadth of interpretability. Although Heart of Darkness has remained on many syllabi since the 1917, it now occupies a much more controversial position in the Western canon as a story that, while leveling critics against colonialism that were novel for its name, and which was formative for the emergence of modernism in literature, is still deeply and inexcusably entrenched in the white male perspective. Next is our conclusion. The background of the novel is set in the 19th century, when the Western maritime industry was at its peak and European countries were actively expanding their colonies, reflecting the observation and reflection of British writers on the crazy plundering and the British Empire in the late 19th century. Originally, like Marlowe, I was full of confidence and longing for European civilization, believing that the advanced technology in the West could bring light and new life to the backward Africa. His aunt also had high hopes for Marlowe's trip to Africa, hoping that Marlowe could save the African nation from the terrible life. But when he entered the dark land, he completely changed his original thought. European colonists are plundering and brutally on this primitive continent. The whites occupied the lands of the black natives, forcing them into inhuman slaves. It makes me sad to see what happened to them, especially when these things actually happened in history. This is our presentation. Thank you.